morning. Today you have the Burleigh County Extension staff visiting with you. My name is Ashley Stegman, and we have Tom Kelb, our horticultural specialist, with us today. And today is a pretty nice day.
It's a great day.
We can't complain, can we?
I don't know what the forecast. I thought I heard snow maybe coming.
I heard tonight there might be a small chance of some snow, but looking at the forecast, those temps, I don't think it has a chance to really do much.
Wintry mix, what they're saying.
Wintry mix.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
It won't last.
It won't last. Even last night, we had some spotty showers. Don't know if you had any rain by you.
Yeah.
A little bit, and that's one thing when we're thinking about getting into the garden, our lawns, even our crop farmers, our ranchers. Moisture is one of those things we're lacking, and we will welcome anything that we get. Just talking a little bit more about weather. I did hear that North Dakota for this year, it's the sixth warmest and driest winter
really?
On records.
Okay.
And so
dry and warm. Okay. Yeah.
I think that sums up our winter.
That was. I think El Nino was active.
I believe so. So we'll kind of have to see how that plays out for us come the summer. You have any estimates
let's see. Let's go look at my crystal ball. I have no idea.
Have no idea.
Like this reminds you a little bit of last year in that. It was dry and it was warm, and people got anxious to get out into their gardens, and there's a lot of early planting. Mm-hmm. But then I recall we had a really late frost that just nipped everything big time, mm-hmm. and there's a lot of replanting that had to get done. So that's my prediction, I guess.
I know my neighbors, they've got some lilacs that are right against our property and theirs, and then they're butted up right to our fence. And last night when I took the garbage out, I noticed they are all budded. They've got those, buds on. Right. So if we get that frost, is that going to mean my neighbor's not going to have their lilacs again?
Yeah, it's their problem.
It's their problem.
No, actually, the flower buds still they still have scales, or there's some protection for them still. So you're gonna be okay.
So they kind of have like almost like a seed coat, or
a little bit in the beginning, right? So you're gonna be okay. Even if the worst thing happened, let's say later, we usually get our last frost in first week of May, or we usually get our last frost in May, so we're going to get some more frost, of course. But plants have an opportunity, like lilacs, have an opportunity to send out secondary buds, secondary flowers. So it may hurt the major flower show. But at this stage, they're just starting to break their buds, and they're protected. Same with people now, have tulips that are if they're planted near a house. Mm-hmm. These are the tulips that come up a little bit earlier. Maybe they have a south or west facing location there. But the flower bud itself, even though you see the leaves popping up, the flower buds are still below ground, and they're protected from frost. So, I think we're gonna be okay. I don't want to have to worry about that yet.
I know. Always growing up, the sign of when I knew the sign of spring came, or what my parents told me, was when you started seeing robins. That's when spring came on. Well, I've seen a bunch of robins, so I'm hoping Mother Nature knows the robins are back. So we're in spring. We're not going back anymore.
Oh, you don't believe in the groundhog? You believe in the robin. Okay.
Those robins, they're every year they come back.
They get here a little bit early.
So
it's a hard time for a robin now, that's for sure. There's not much food out there.
There isn't, and one other thing I did see, which I was really surprised, I saw a few dandelions actually. They're close to they were yellowed, and they were close.
Flowers?
Yes. You'll have to stop and look when you walk into the office.
They're tough.
There are a couple dandelions there,
so
but they're right
rocks.
next to the building. So, of course, that soil is warmer and they're
rock
not having...
mulch.
Yeah, and they're heated, so
Yep.
so those pesky little things, they're definitely growing on us.
You know, this is another reason why rock mulch is less beneficial than a shredded bark mulch, because rock traps heat, and it generates a warm microclimate there, and this can encourage plants, whether it's a dandelion or shrubs like lilacs, to bud out early, and it lets them they're more sensitive to frost injury. On the other hand, if you use shredded bark mulch, that keeps temperature moderate, so it'll keep the soil a little bit cooler, and things will be slower to bud out, so it'll be less likely to have damage. So just another lesson, like how rock mulch is miserable for plants.
And I have
There you
rock
go.
mulch in my
Oh, dear.
landscape.
Shame on you.
I didn't put it there. The previous owners put it there, and I have just not had the time or really the financing to pull that all out and put something else down. So it's
I wouldn't
something that
do
I
it
deal
either.
with.
If I had it, I'd just
Although my kids,
by quickly
my
and
my
ignore
kids
it.
like to skip rocks, and so now we're starting to find rocks in our lawn, which isn't really fun. So now I have a fun task for the kids. When we go outside, they have to pick up rocks.
Okay. there you
I
go.
I used to have to do that in the field. They can do it in my lawn,
Yeah,
I think.
guess so. Yeah, your rocks are a little bit bigger in the field.
Yeah, I mean it's good for the kids
I
to do
think so.
something. So, well, with that, looks like Jim's giving me a nod. We're going to be taking a break, and we will be right back with Extension Connection.
Right now, 45.
On Twitter, Facebook, online, and YouTube. SuperTalk1270.com.
Welcome back to the Extension Connection. My name is Ashley Stegman. I'm the Ag and Natural Resource Agent with Burleigh County, and today I have Tom Kelb, our horticulturalist specialist, visiting with us. We're talking about spring
Yeah, gardening. It's right around the corner here.
and things.
We can get busy right now and
Yeah,
take advantage of these
things
nice
we can
days.
do. I just saw, I think this morning on, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Facebook or what it was, but I saw a post on, doing an inventory of your gardening tools. Right now, maybe you're not. Maybe we're not telling you to go out. It's too early to do any planting or sowing of seeds or anything like that unless you're indoors. But think about some of those garden tools that you use pretty routinely every year. Just check them, make sure that they're ready for the new garden season. If they're not, maybe you need to do some shopping. Maybe you need to go get a new watering can, or I can
excuse to go shopping.
an excuse to go shopping. Why not? Why not? I can think of even some of those hoses that you might be using. You may have had some leaks that you just weren't ready to buy a new hose because it will make it through the garden season last year. Maybe over winter it didn't fare so well. Maybe new hose or making sure that if you're looking to do some pruning, making sure that your tools are nice and sharp. Those are some things that we can do to get ourselves ready, so we can do some of those things in time.
That's right. Sharpen your tools. And, you mentioned sharpen your pruners. This is the best time right now to prune. It's the best time of the year, because most of the plants are still dormant, so they won't go under shock from the pruning. And also at this time of year, the worst of the winter's over. So if you have you're going to be making wounds, but the wounds won't suffer through all those winter winds, all those drying winter winds. And also when you prune right now at the cusp, at the end of the dormant season, you're less likely to spread diseases on your pruning shears. So, the best time to prune is right now, and you can clearly see all the branches. You can, everything's right there for you. The weather's pleasant, and just get out there and clean up all that clutter.
When it's nice out like this, it's a great time to do those types of things.
It is, and there's a lot of us who, I always feel like this is time of year when people have been like indoors the whole winter and they're just dying for something to do.
They've kind of been hermits. They've just stayed in
think
one
so.
place and just stayed inside.
I think so. And so, pruning is one thing that we can do to invigorate our plants and take out. And you can see the dead wood now quite clearly. And you don't need to use a pruning sealant when you prune now. Just a good time to clean up your plants. And if you got badly overgrown shrubs, this is the best time. You can cut them all the way to the ground. When the plants are dormant, they'll come back very strong this spring because they got a strong root system. So, best time of year to prune. Second best time is whenever you're willing to do it. That's when the saw is sharp.
Well, and that's true. You have to be willing to do it, and you have to have a sharp pruners or a saw because you don't want to be using those dull utensils.
It just rips the plant and creates wounds that won't heal. So, yeah, you're right. And it's just no fun doing that either.
Well, talking about some things that, we're getting into our growing season.
Yeah.
Last week, I visited a couple of our producers in Burleigh County. We did some inventory on their beef cows, and we actually did some body condition scoring. And so that might sound a little odd to some individuals.
Body conditioning?
Body conditioning scoring.
Really?
So if you think of,
On a cow.
on a cow, yes. But you think about ourselves, you do the what is
Really?
it? I wish we had Chandra here, our family consumer science agent. She would know that
Body mass index?
body mass index. That's right. And so, we have to do that every once in a while. We don't like to hear the number. We don't really like to go through that.
You can do it. I don't want to do it.
And so,
It's too
we
embarrassing.
kind of do the same thing to our livestock. We have to take note. Are they very obese? Are they really thin? Same things that we kind of think about for our bodies as humans. We kind of think about our livestock. Are they in good condition?
Yeah.
Are they fair? Or do they need a little extra something just to help them look a little healthier? And so
Okay.
we do that for ourselves by vitamins,
I guess
minerals.
so.
We maybe monitor our diets.
Good idea.
As ranchers and livestock producers, we do the same thing with our livestock. We
Makes
have to
sense.
monitor what they're eating. We have to make sure that they're healthy,
Right.
whether it's the health management or changing up maybe your feed rations, making sure they're getting as much protein as they need. And so last week, as I said, I was out with a producer doing some body condition scoring on their cows. And really what that entails is you're looking at those cattle and making sure that they are healthy, that they are in a good state, that you've been a good rancher, a good livestock producer in caring for your animal, making sure that you, the feeds that you were feeding them or the grasses they were eating was supplementing them well enough.
Okay.
So for our body condition scoring, just to remind, we do a scoring of a 1 to a 9. Now, in this, typically, one's number one, one, yay,
perfect,
one's
huh?
the winner. Actually, in this scoring system, it actually is the loser, if you will.
Oh.
So it's kind of the sad one in the bunch.
Really?
We don't
The
want
bad one.
Yeah, we don't want the ones. But then we go on that scale, that scoring scale, like I was talking, it's 1 to a 9. So 1 is your really sad looking cows.
Yeah.
Your 9 are your
Kinda-
Oompa Loompas. They're your
kinda-
bigger kind of
Oh, really?
fatty type animals. They're maybe the
Oh,
ones
really?
that, yeah.
So is 9 the best?
9, no.
Nine's just fat.
9 is fat. You don't
And
want to
one
be
is scrawny.
obese. Yes. And so where do you want to be? Where is
Probably 5.
the happy mark? Exactly. Tom, see this stuff isn't so off for you.
Easy.
So 5 to 6, that's
What,
really your
can't you just
optimum
step on a
range.
scale and figure it out? Or you
Do you want
just
to
look
try
at their
to
rear end, I think. Don't you just look at their rear end?
there are a few places. Jim's giving a nod over there.
I think that's what you do. Go get
So
their...
when you're looking to evaluate cows for body condition, you look at 3 areas, and that's 3 areas that it's the brisket, over the hip, and then in their rump, so in their behind,
right.
if you will. And you really want to see if there's a lot of mass there in their brisket, in their front. And then on their rear side, you want to see if it's full, if there's shape to it, or if it's really flat. We really do want to evaluate the body condition scores of our cattle, especially this time of the year. A lot of guys are calving right now or getting ready to calve. And so it's really important, take a look at your cows before they calve, give them a body score, and then look at them periodically while they have that calf on side them. And you really do not want your cows to drop more than 2 body condition scores. So if we're talking, we want our cows at a 5 or 6. 5 is moderate. There's increased fat over those rib in that rib and hip area that I was talking about. That tail head is full, and that rump or that behind is round. Now, if you have a cow that's a 6, she's just going to be a little bit pudgier, if you will. She might be a little bit fatter, and that's okay.
But she's pregnant.
She's pregnant, and so
Cut her some slack.
Exactly. It's hard work carrying those babies.
I think so.
So you need to evaluate those
long.
cows and make sure that they're in a good state. And because the fact of the matter is, when a cow enters her 3rd trimester, she's really not going to do any gaining. She's putting everything she puts in her mouth into her calf. Just like us humans, the last couple months of pregnancy for females, a lot of that weight goes right to baby. And so cows are the same way. So that cow isn't really gaining anything. You're not going to see any weight increase on that cow other than through her calf. And so once she has that calf, make sure taking a look at her, evaluating whether or not is she falling off, is she getting enough supplement, is she getting enough feed. That way she can sustain and produce that milk for that calf. You really don't want to see your cows in that 1, 2, or 3. That means they're very thin, no fat over that rib or that brisket. You can see that backbone. It's very visible. And so those are those cows that are not the first to the bunk. They're the ones that are pushed off in the corner. They're not eating. Something might be wrong with them. Structurally, they may not be sound enough to breed for you. Those are the cows that you're probably going to want to think about culling. You want to take them out of your herd, sell them off. Now, talking kind of on the opposite spectrum, some of those cows that might be a little too fat, they might be at the buffet, if you will, all the time. What do you do with those? If they are pregnant and they're going to be having calf here soon, they're going to be working for their calf here, the next 3, 4, 5 months, depending on when you wean. And so those cows, they probably will naturally trim down a little on their own. So you don't have to be so overly concerned about those cows that might be in that upper body score for you. They'll probably be able to be a little more fleshy, and they'll be able to just carry on their own. But those cows that are in that 5 or 6, that's where we want them. If you see cows that more in a 4, just not quite enough fat there for you, you really are going to want to probably supplement them when they have calf on side them, because all that is going to be going right to that calf. And so you want to be giving her just an extra little bit just to help her through that season with that calf on side. And so those are a few things that I would talk to producers about. And like I said, it's very important. Take a look at them before they calve, and then after they've calved, when they got a calf on them for about a month to month and a half, you'll then take a look at them again and see, do I need to do something different in my feeding? Do I need to give them a little bit more supplements? It's easy to just put an extra bale out, give them a little extra distiller grains or feed stuffs. You just don't want your cows to be slipping more than 1 or 2 body condition scores. And so with that, it looks like Jim is giving me the nod, and we will be taking a break.
Right now, 45.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to Extension Connection. Today you have the Burleigh County Extension staff visiting with you. My name is Ashley Stegman, the Ag and Natural Resource Agent, and we also have Tom Kelb, our state horticulturist, along with us. So we've been talking about growing, whether it's growing the new season of growing or growing maybe your cattle, since right now is a busy time of the year for our ranchers with calving season right upon us or getting ready for it. A few other things that I've been talking to some of our ranchers, our producers about is how to really optimize those feedstuffs and those forages that you might be storing. We had a pretty nice winter. Mother Nature was
great.
very
Well,
good to us.
Mild.
And so we really, didn't have a harsh winter. Our cattle were able to maybe stay out and graze a little bit longer. We didn't have to take them all home and just put them in confined pens. And so, really our ranchers have had a really good season.
Yeah, I think so.
And we didn't have a harsh winter and calving season. We've got nice temps and we haven't been very wet. And so that really helps cut down on the chances of having to care or aid some of those sick calves that we have. So early grazing strategies. If you're thinking you see that grass greening up already, which there's a lot of areas we've got some green grass already growing. Does that mean open the gate and let the cows out?
Sure.
Sure? You're going to say sure?
No.
Well, no.
I don't know.
No, actually, right
Because
now.
that's a bad grass.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that right?
That
It's
is
quack
right.
grass.
That
in
is
the lawn.
right.
In the lawn, that's a bad grass.
Yeah, so
comes first.
we're seeing some of those grasses that are greening up. It's hard to, when it's a cool season or a warm season, it's really hard to have those cattle go out and graze early on, especially when there's such little growth. Because what those cows will do, they'll nub that growth off. And then you're taking away your first stance there. And so you really want that growth to grow a little bit. Grazing before grass plants reach the third leaf stage causes that reduction in production of forage, which can reduce your stocking rate and your animal performance. So you want to make sure, even though you might be seeing that green grass out there and you think, oh, I got to get the cows out there, just hold back. Wait for that to really grow. Like we were talking earlier, Mother Nature, she can give us anything at any time. We do live in North Dakota, so there probably will be another frost. We might see some snow tonight, so don't be too hasty. That green grass, it can grow a little bit bigger for you, and really let those cool seasons or warm season, or those cool seasons grow and let them get to that third leaf stage. That's typically right around the end of May to the beginning of June for this area is where we're going to see that grass get to that third leaf stage. And so really, even though it's nice, we're jumping the gun. We need to just hold back a little bit longer. Some of your tame grass pastures, those are up for grabs in May. Well, end of April, May. That would be a time. So those are your crested wheatgrass, some of your brome grasses, smooth or meadow, CRP lands. Those are good areas to start easing some of those cattle into here in April and May. You could also continue to dry lot feeding some of your cattle. If you have some excess feedstuffs from winter that you didn't use, you could continue to use those. Also, if you do have any native rangeland, you could do some early grazing there. It is not a recommended strategy, though. So this is kind of your last case scenario. If you are completely out of your feedstuffs, if you don't have any access, if you don't have any access to your tame grass pastures, you could go on the native range, but you'll see a drastic decrease in the native range. So it's one of those things, it's a last resort. If you have to, you can do it, but it is not suggested. So keep those pairs, either in a confined area and use up those feedstuffs that weren't utilized during the winter, or try some of those tame grass hays, but wait until you're at that third leaf stage before you're putting any cows out to eat that, because I don't want to say it, but I have been hearing that, based on last summer, as we had a dry, humid, hot summer, we might be in store for that again. I don't know. That's what I've been
Is
hearing.
there a problem?
When we're talking about grazing
It was
cattle,
a good year last year, I thought.
it was a good year, but
some decent rain.
when we've had, we could use some moisture, especially for our farmers and
always.
ranchers.
Yeah, you're
We
right.
always need that rain to grow those grasses, and so make sure that you're not just mowing down that very, very new growth that you might have out there. It's way too early to be putting everything out. Use some of those tame grasses first, and really try to stay off your natives until we get farther along in our growing season. So those are
that kind of reminds me of lawns. What you just talked about is if the cow nips off the grass when it's really young, you can set back the grass, and that would make sense also for people who mow their lawns. If you mow your lawn short, especially early in spring, like a lot of us have this spring fever, you just can't control yourself. You got to go do something. And but if the grass is starting to grow, be careful not to nip it down low, because you can really set back the turf. And in general, we do recommend cutting tall, and that will help develop a deeper root system. But it's all the same type of grass. It's all grass, and so what you're saying rings true. And also, you'll always see the lawns that are cut the shortest are the ones that will they'll go dormant first in the early summer, because turf isn't. They struggle under that situation. They develop a shallow root system, and they just can't get their mass
and
going.
then isn't a shorter stand in your lawn more susceptible to weed invasion?
Yeah, because they all compete for sunlight, and so if your turf is tall, then it can smother out the weeds as they emerge out of the ground. But if your turf is short, the emerging weeds will get the sunlight they need, and again, it's just not healthy for a turf to be short, so it won't be as vigorous, and it won't be able to compete against the weeds too. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I know, just from driving around, I've seen some people already doing some of that lawn maintenance that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Cutting back some of their lawn. What about fertilizing? Would this be an okay time, or should we not be doing it? What do you think?
Well, there is no, I hate to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. It's so subjective with turf. Everybody's got their own feeling about it. Generally speaking, though, any fertilizer you put on early in spring goes primarily for leaf development. And so, it doesn't go really to root development in the spring. So what happens is the people who fertilize in the early spring, they will get some response, but it just means they have to mow more often. They don't really get much long-term benefit to the turf. And so that's why we focus more on fall fertilization, because in fall, when you fertilize in fall, that's when the roots grow. And so that's when you get your long-term benefit in a thicker lawn if you fertilize in the fall. And if you fertilize in fall, you'll have some residual left over in the soil, so usually don't have to fertilize until around Memorial Day. So, but the one thing is that crabgrass can be an issue for some people. And so, most crabgrass killers are mixed with the fertilizer, and that's something you should put on before the crabgrass emerges, which is usually about mid to late April. So that, if you got a crabgrass issue, most people don't. We're suckered into it by the lawn industry to think that we got to fertilize our lawn 5 times a year. You don't have to fertilize your lawn 5 times a year to have a decent lawn. But the crabgrass formulation is the first fertilization. And you can tell if you got crabgrass or not. Crabgrass has like a burgundy color to the base of the weed. It's a prostrate, flat growing weed, and it really takes off where it's hot, like near a driveway or near a sidewalk. But all the crabgrass in your lawn from last year is dead. It died from winter. All the crabgrass died, but the crabgrass shot out millions of seeds, and so that's what emerges. And that's what, if you have that issue, put on that pre-emergence crabgrass killer to control that weed.
All right. Well, I think with that, we are going to be taking a break, and we will be right back with Extension Connection.
Right now, it's 50.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to the Extension Connection. Today you have the Burleigh County Extension staff visiting with you. My name is Ashley Stegman, and I am the Ag and Natural Resource Agent. And we also have Tom Kelb, our state horticulturalist, visiting with us today. And in our last segment here, we're going to be talking about a few programs that both Tom and I are involved with that are coming up very quickly here. The first one we have is our Spring Fever Garden Forum. Tom, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. We started these Spring Fever Garden Forums a few years ago, and the whole goal of this is that we want to bring the specialists from NDSU to everybody in North Dakota. So these are forums that you can attend at your local extension office, and they're being offered both in the Burleigh County and the Morton County offices. And also, if that's inconvenient for you, you can attend these forums online. And so we have hundreds of people online. There'll be over 1,000 participants in this event. And it's a way that you can learn the latest information from NDSU. And so, for example, we're going to start, it's Monday nights in April. So the first one's April 4th, starting at 6:30. And I'm really excited about, the first night. We're going to be talking about how to grow blackberries in North Dakota. There's some new research out of NDSU about how to make that happen. People love blackberries, but they just can't survive here because of our long, miserable winter. A normal blackberry plant lives, the first year it just has leaves, the second year of fruits. But the problem in North Dakota, it never makes it to the second year, so you don't get your fruits. But they've got new blackberries coming out now that bloom and set fruit on their first year, and so we've developed some strategies to make successful blackberry production in North Dakota. And we got talks about how to have a great lawn, how to prune your shrubs. Again, it's very timely. We're talking about the new fruits that are available, that are easy to grow. We're talking about new flower varieties that are available. And also we have activities every night. If you want to go to the county office, we'll be talking about how to start seeds. Now's the time to start your tomato seeds now. And we'll be giving out samples of some NDSU potato varieties and some gladiolas. So there's lots of fun things going on. If you go to the website, go to NDSU Spring Fever Garden Forums. They'll get you to the website and register, and there's no charge. Again, we just want to connect everybody in our community with the latest information from NDSU. So take advantage of that. And if you miss a night, it's all archived for you. So just enjoy that. This is very important for us to connect with those folks in NDSU and find out about all that great research that they're doing over there.
And a bonus, you do the activities, and that's all free. So you're able to take that home with you, and you're already kind of starting your garden season. You have projects already started from these.
I think so. We got some really we're going to be having some seeds of award-winning tomato and pepper cultivars that you can start indoors, and it'll be just and you can meet other gardeners and just share the joy, get that spring fever together. and again, these are, even if you're online though, you can participate and you can ask questions. We have a chat box where you can type in your questions to the specialist, and they'll answer your questions. So it's a great way that you can interact directly with your NDSU staff.
All right, so just remind our listeners about the Spring Fever Garden Forum. It will be it will be Mondays in April, so April 4th, April 11th, 18th, and 25th. These forums will run from 6:30 to 8:45. If you're interested in, please go online to ag.ndsu.edu/spring fever, or you can call our extension office at 221-6865, and we can help you get signed up for that. Again, both Morton County and Burleigh County are hosting, and so come on out Monday evening, April 4th, 6:30 to 8:45, and we'll hear some specialists from NDSU, and then we'll have a activity included that you will start your seeds, that you'll begin to do some of those fun spring activities. And so our next, I guess, big program that's going to be happening also in the month of April is the Dakota Garden Expo. And that's going to be April 15th and 16th. We will be having the doors open at 3 on Friday. And do you know when they close? I don't. Until Tom goes home, right?
Pretty much 8 or 9 o'clock the
All
first
right.
night, and then we get going again. I think about 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Okay. But this is the Dakota Garden Expo is another event that we started here, and it's the biggest garden event in the state. It's 10 times bigger than any other garden expo in the state, than any other gardening conference in the state. It has more seminars than any other. It has more vendors. So we got all kinds of speakers to tell you about everything. We got everything covered. We can talk about how to grow roses, how to prune your trees, how to grow fruits, how to have a nice organic garden. We tell you about how to fight bugs. We tell you how to preserve bees.
Preserve bees.
Or the bees are under so much threat from mites and all the widespread use of insecticides. So bees are our honeybees are really under severe threat. And North Dakota is the number one honey producing state. So we got to protect our bees. We need those bees. And so there's quite a movement now as far as not only protecting the bees, but encouraging more bee activity by planting pollinator gardens. And we'll have the state specialist on how to grow a garden that attracts bees to your yard. And
Now, by growing a pollinator garden, are we concerned about what type of bees are coming?
hey, man, I don't know of any bad bees.
Okay. All right. I'm thinking.
You're thinking about wasps.
I might be thinking that. I'm putting my mom hat on, and I'm thinking about, okay, my kids, like if they get stung by them and they're allergic or something, is that going to be a problem?
Hey, man, that's just the way it is living outdoors. You can, getting out of bed is dangerous. You just never know what's going to happen.
Just got to bubble-proof your life. That's right.
But actually, a bee, and including our native bees, are not aggressive. They fear you. They don't want nothing to do. All they want to do is play around in the flowers and gather food. They don't want to mess around with you.
As long as you have flowers for them, they're going to be happy. So make sure you put some flowers out.
Well, that's part of the strategy is, planting flowers, and the bees are always hungry. So have flowers in the early spring, early summer, late summer, into the fall.
Okay.
So, keep the bees happy for as long as you can. Bees are a great resource, and not only, not only you're doing a good thing for the environment, but you're going to have a more productive garden. You're going you're going to have more zucchini than ever,
Oh,
and,
boy.
more cucumbers and more apples on your trees. And it makes a big difference to have these pollinators, especially on a lot of fruit crops. Like last year, a lot of us had almost no apples last year because of the problems with frost and the lack of bee activity. So anything we can do to encourage bees is a good thing. But don't confuse that with wasp, which are aggressive in the fall. So,
All right. So, what are a few other topics that we
Well,
might
yeah.
hear at the Garden Expo?
well, we'll learn about how to design a perennial garden. We've got how to understand your soil, how to take a soil test, how to make your garden as productive as possible. You can grow hundreds of dollars of vegetables in a garden. And so, if you've got a quality soil and if you do what you can to improve the soil, you can have a bumper crop of yields. We've got some specialists talking about some of the best trees for small landscapes, some of the best trees for a tough spot, like, maybe along the boulevard. We've got garden projects for kids that you can take advantage of. We got some great varieties that we can form on. We're going to give away 300 Freeman maple trees. Freeman maple is the most popular maple in North Dakota now. We're going to give away 1,000 seed packets. So, and again, so many vendors there. You're just going to get jazzed up when you go in there and seeing all that cool stuff.
I do
going on.
remember from last year, I can't remember which vendor it was, but they had a lot of hydrangeas, and I love those.
Okay.
But I've never been able to grow them very well, so I've never bought one.
Well, the good news is that there's a hydrangea revolution going on now, where they got all kinds of new types and even new shades of colors, like strawberry colors, besides the traditional blue or white. So
All
you just got to
right.
pick the right type of hydrangea. There's so many new ones out there that you can be successful with.
Okay, well, just to remind our audience, that is the Dakota Garden Expo. That will be April 15th and 16th, Friday and Saturday. We welcome you to come on out and listen to some seminars and take in some of those vendor booths. And with that, Jim is giving me another nod here. Well, we are going to be saying farewell, and thank you for listening to the Burley County Extension Connection.